the tariff bounce in the market and who benefited.
He made $2.5 billion today, and he made $900 million. That's not bad.
The president had posted on Truth Social, "This is a great time to buy," and he tagged DJT.
Something strange just happened in the stock market, and all signs point straight to Donald Trump. A sudden tariff reversal, a cryptic Truth Social post, and a stock explosion that made millions overnight. Now Democrats are crying foul, and a political firestorm is erupting around possible insider trading at the highest levels of power. As of April 10, 2025, President Trump's surprise move to pause sweeping tariffs is drawing serious heat. Not just for the policy shift, but for what happened right before it. Did Trump or his allies manipulate the market? And was this all part of a calculated play for financial gain? Let's rewind. Just 1 week ago, on April 2nd, Trump shocked the world by announcing aggressive new tariffs. A blanket 10% tariff on all imports, with additional levies on over 60 countries, including major trade partners. Wall Street freaked out. The S&P 500 took a nosedive. Investor confidence sank like a rock. But then, without warning, Trump pulled a complete 180. On April 9th, he announced a 90-day pause on most of the new tariffs, except for the 10% baseline and even more duties aimed at Chinese goods. The news sent the market into an absolute frenzy. The S&P 500 rocketed up more than 9% in a single day. And one stock in particular? It skyrocketed. Trump Media and Technology Group, ticker symbol DJT, surged nearly 22% within hours. Coincidence or something more? First, let's talk about the timing, because it's raising eyebrows across the political spectrum. Just before the reversal, Trump took to Truth Social and posted, quote, "This is a great time to buy." DJT. That post went live hours before the market boom, and now critics are demanding answers. Democratic lawmakers wasted no time. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Senator Sheldon Whitehouse are among those calling for immediate investigations. In a letter to the SEC, House Democrats flagged unusual trades involving DJT stock options in the days before the tariff pause. These trades, they argue, may suggest that someone had advanced knowledge of the policy shift and used it to cash in. Second, the potential for abuse is real. President Trump, as the controlling shareholder of Trump Media, personally benefits from DJT's soaring stock price. That's a direct financial stake in a company that just surged thanks to a government policy he controls. And when the President of the United States can tank or boost markets with a single announcement or a single tweet, that's a recipe for chaos. Third, legal experts are split on whether this rises to the level of insider trading. Some argue that unless there's concrete evidence of private information being shared, it's just political noise. But others point out, even the appearance of market manipulation by a sitting president is damaging enough. This is one of the most blatant conflicts of interest we've ever seen, said ethics watchdog Walter Schaub, a former director of the U.S. Office of Government Ethics. When the president is publicly trading on information he controls, that's not just bad optics. It's a threat to democracy. Here's the bottom line. This isn't just about one social media post or a single stock jump. It's about trust. Trust in markets, trust in government, trust in the presidency itself. If a sitting president can sway the markets and profit personally, without consequence, what kind of precedent does that set? What happens the next time a leader faces a political crisis and needs a quick distraction or a financial boost? Some Republican allies are downplaying the controversy, calling it a nothing burger and accusing Democrats of playing politics. But others in the GOP are staying eerily quiet. Why? Because if insider trading did occur, and it involved members of Congress or administration officials, the fallout could be explosive. The pressure is now on the SEC and congressional investigators to act. But will they? Or will this scandal fade into the background like so many others? This story is far from over. Whether this was a savvy move, a reckless gamble, or something darker altogether, it demands answers. Is Donald Trump gaming the system, or are his critics grasping at straws? Could this be the start of a financial scandal that shakes Washington to its core? You decide. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Do you smell insider trading, or is this all political theater?
Marjorie Taylor Greene
to know that the market's going to crash soon.
If we were to find out that a whole bunch of people
publishes the numbers, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Marjorie Taylor Greene has been very supportive of Donald Trump.
This person who is based on an analysis of travel patterns.
A massive stock market plunge, a sudden reversal from Donald Trump, and in the middle of it all, Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene making bold stock moves that raised more than just eyebrows. Was it luck? Or did she know something the rest of us didn't? As Trump reignited trade war fears and global markets spiraled, Greene's investment portfolio seemed oddly prophetic. But in a political system already drowning in mistrust, her timing has sparked an explosive debate. Are members of Congress cashing in on inside information? The spark that ignited this firestorm was a familiar one: Donald Trump. On April 2, 2025, in a dramatic announcement, Trump threatened sweeping new global tariffs, triggering chaos on Wall Street. Major retailers and tech stocks nosedived. Fears of a renewed trade war took hold. Within hours, companies like Dell, RH, and Lululemon saw their share prices drop by up to 40%. But here's where it gets interesting. Just one day later, on April 3rd and 4, Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene made a series of stock purchases. She scooped up shares in the same companies now tanking due to Trump's tariff threats. And then, almost like clockwork, Trump backpedaled. The tariffs were paused, the markets rebounded. And Greene? She was already in. RH, the luxury furniture retailer, saw its stock surge over 33% right after Greene bought in. Dell Technologies jumped nearly 9%. Amazon and Lululemon also rebounded sharply. But the timing is what's raising serious questions. Just hours before backing off the tariffs, Trump posted on Truth Social, "This is a great time to buy." Greene's financial disclosure shows the trades were made in the immediate aftermath of Trump's tariff threats, at the peak of market uncertainty. The Guardian later reported that Greene made her investments precisely on April 3rd and 4, right as stock prices bottomed out. Critics didn't hold back. To them, this wasn't just good timing. It was suspicious, too convenient, and all too familiar. Greene defended herself, stating, "I have signed a fiduciary agreement to allow my financial advisor to control my investments. All of my investments are reported with full transparency." But for many, that explanation rings hollow. Whether or not she personally placed the trades, they were executed during a window when she, and perhaps others in Washington, had insight that average Americans did not. This isn't just about one congresswoman's portfolio. This is about trust in government. There have long been concerns over members of Congress using their positions to profit from the markets. Multiple bipartisan bills have been introduced over the years to ban lawmakers from trading individual stocks. One proposal, the Trust in Congress Act, short for Transparent Representation Upholding Service and Trust, aims to end these perceived conflicts of interest for good. But nothing has passed. Why? Because the people who would have to vote for it are the very same people who benefit from the current system. Greene is not alone. From both parties, lawmakers have been caught making well-timed trades during moments of national crisis. The COVID-19 pandemic, the Silicon Valley bank collapse, and now Trump's tariff gambit. Each time, the same question returns. Are these trades based on public knowledge or something else? Supporters argue Greene's trades reflect confidence in American companies. They say buying during a dip is just smart investing. But critics see something far more dangerous, a system that allows lawmakers to profit off the same policies they help shape. And as markets fluctuate wildly based on political decisions, the American people are left wondering, are our elected officials serving the public or playing the stock market? Marjorie Taylor Greene may insist her investments were above board. But when fortunes are made while the public suffers losses, perception becomes reality. And that reality is toxic. This isn't just about ethics, it's about democracy. Because when the lines between public service and private gain are blurred, the trust that holds our institutions together begins to unravel. Should members of Congress be allowed to trade stocks while shaping the policies that move markets? Or is it time to finally draw the line?
To pause tariffs against his neighbors for the next month.
The ambition of these measures is enormous.
Mark Carney delivering a response to Donald Trump's tariff.
And now in Canada, the government is finding new ways.
What if America didn't just elect a new president, but inherited an entirely new state? In a shocking twist that's left both Canadians and Americans stunned, Donald Trump has floated the idea of making Canada the 51st state of the United States. Yes, you heard that right. A sovereign nation, a G7 ally, and America's northern neighbor, potentially absorbed into Trump's vision of America. But is this just a joke gone too far, or a serious strategy for reshaping North America? This all began with a bizarre comment made by Donald Trump in December 2024 during a private but later leaked meeting with Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau at Mar-a-Lago. According to multiple reports, Trump referred to Trudeau as Governor Justin Trudeau of the great state of Canada, and jokingly suggested that the country could skip out on future tariffs by simply becoming part of the U.S. At the time, many brushed it off as typical Trumpian bluster. But as the remarks continued to surface, repeated in rallies, interviews, and on Truth Social, the idea snowballed into a diplomatic controversy. By early 2025, with Trump's second term well underway, the question of whether he was serious had become impossible to ignore. As of March 2025, the tension hit a boiling point when Trump imposed a 25% tariff on all Canadian imports, citing what he called massive trade cheating and a wide-open border that's a disaster for American security. In response, Trudeau fired back with a blistering speech, calling the tariffs an act of economic aggression and slapping retaliatory taxes on $30 billion worth of American goods. Trump's defenders claim the annexation idea is strategic. They argue that closer integration, or even full political union, would create a North American megastate capable of dominating global trade, natural resources, and military power. One U.S. pundit on Newsmax went as far as to say, "Canada has oil, timber, water, and hardly any people. It's a no-brainer." But Canadians aren't laughing. Far from it. A March 2025 poll conducted by Angus Reid found that only 7% of Canadians would consider joining the U.S. under any terms. That number shrinks to just 3% if the deal involves losing universal health care, gun control, or parliamentary democracy. In fact, pro-sovereignty demonstrations have erupted in Vancouver, Montreal, and Toronto, where protesters chant, "Not one star more," and wave signs that read, "We are not for sale." Even Canadian culture has reacted. NHL games in Canada have seen audiences boo the U.S. national anthem. Sales of Canadian flags have surged. And on TikTok, anti-annexation memes have gone viral, many mocking Trump's plan as a hostile real estate deal dressed up as diplomacy. So, is this all just theater, or the beginning of a real diplomatic fracture? Analysts believe Trump's comments, though likely exaggerated for media effect, are part of a broader pattern. His administration has frequently challenged long-standing alliances, scrapped trade agreements, and leaned into nationalist rhetoric that pits American power against international cooperation. In that context, suggesting Canada become a U.S. state doesn't seem so much like a joke. It sounds like a threat. Trudeau, for his part, isn't mincing words. In a speech delivered on March 27th, he said bluntly, "There isn't a snowball's chance in hell that Canada would become part of the United States." Opposition leaders from both left and right have backed him, condemning Trump's remarks as imperialistic and deeply insulting. Even some Americans are skeptical. Constitutional scholars have pointed out that incorporating another nation as a U.S. state would require not only congressional approval, but also a national referendum in Canada, something no Canadian government has proposed or ever would. But perhaps most alarming is what this reveals about Trump's view of geopolitics. In his world, every negotiation is a deal to be won. Every ally is a potential acquisition, and every neighbor is just another opportunity to expand influence, by trade, by force, or by merger. Canada as the 51st state? For Trump, it might be the ultimate power move. For Canadians, it's a nightmare scenario. And for the rest of the world, it's a warning. When politics becomes personal and diplomacy becomes real estate, nothing is off the table. What do you think? Is Trump playing 4D chess, or has he finally gone too far? Could Canada ever be absorbed into the U.S., or is this just more media spectacle?
We will fight, we will protect, and we will build.
President Trump authorized a 90-day pause, announcing a complete pause on all reciprocal tariffs.
The 90-day pause for the people that didn't retaliate.
Something seismic is shifting in Canadian politics, yet barely anyone's talking about it. A quiet power struggle is unfolding behind closed liberal doors, and if you're not paying attention, you're about to miss the biggest political realignment since Justin Trudeau's rise to power. Mark Carney, the global finance titan turned political tactician, has just made his move. And it might be checkmate for Trudeau. Carney isn't your average political player. He's the former governor of both the Bank of Canada and the Bank of England, a man who's helped steer not one, but two of the world's biggest economies through crises. After years on the international stage, earning praise from Wall Street, Davos elites, and climate leaders, he quietly returned to Canada. And now, the chessboard is set. Until recently, the Liberal succession plan was clear. Deputy Prime Minister Chrystia Freeland was the presumed heir to Trudeau. But now, as cracks widen in Trudeau's leadership and approval ratings plummet, Carney's presence has shifted from background advisor to front-stage contender. And insiders say this isn't by accident, it's by design. Behind the scenes, Carney has been methodically building his influence inside the Liberal Party. He's forged alliances with party elders, secured loyalty from key caucus members, and is already being briefed as a leadership alternative should Trudeau falter. In the words of one insider quoted in the article, "This is Carney's moment." He's got the money, the network, and now the momentum. Meanwhile, Chrystia Freeland's standing has visibly slipped. Once the darling of the Liberal base, her recent economic moves and perceived attachment from working-class Canadians have weakened her support. According to the Substack post, Freeland has lost the room, and it's not just speculation. Senior Liberals are now openly questioning her leadership capabilities. And Trudeau? His brand is bruised. His government has been battered by inflation, housing affordability crises, ethics scandals, and a growing fatigue from voters who feel the promise of 2015 is long gone. As the Post states bluntly, he's done. The only thing stopping a leadership change is the timing, and Carney is playing the long game. So, what does this all mean for the future of Canadian politics? If Carney takes the reins, Canada could pivot sharply toward a more technocratic, market-savvy leadership style. His global finance background suggests a government more comfortable with Bay Street than Main Street, a direction that could reassure investors but alienate grassroots Liberals. But it also sets up a civil war inside the party. Carney's rise won't go uncontested. Progressives within the Liberal base are already wary, fearing he represents a corporate takeover of a party founded on social policy and inclusion. A battle is brewing between Liberal traditionalists, Trudeau loyalists, and this new Carney-led elite. Worse yet, if Trudeau stays too long, he risks handing the next election to Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives on a silver platter. And Carney knows it. As the article points out, Carney doesn't need to make noise. He just has to wait. The longer Trudeau holds on, the more inevitable Carney's quiet coup becomes. We are witnessing the dawn of a new era in Canadian politics, and most of the country hasn't even noticed. The question isn't if Mark Carney will lead the Liberals, it's when. And when that happens, Canada's political future could look very, very different. But what do you think? Is Carney the savior the Liberals need, or just another elite banker in disguise? Should Trudeau step aside now, or dig in for one last fight? And what happens to Chrystia Freeland if she's left on the outside looking in? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one. And don't forget, subscribe for more raw, real political breakdowns you won't get on cable news.